The typical adult brain produces thousands of discrete thoughts every day, yet few people notice how much energy those thoughts siphon off. You sit, breathe, and without invitation the mind spins through yesterday's errors, tomorrow's bills, national headlines, and an old song lyric. Because mental motion is silent, you feel only the byproduct, a dull pressure behind the eyes, shallow breathing, a sense that nothing is ever completely done. Many mistake that pressure for normal aging or unavoidable stress. In truth, it is simply the metabolic cost of allowing thought to keep the engine revving after the destination has been reached. Prolonged cognitive chatter triggers the same hormone cascade designed for real emergencies. Cortisol stays elevated, heart rate hovers a few beats high, digestion slows, and sleep architecture degrades. Older adults report brain fog, yet formal testing often shows memory circuits intact. The fog is not loss of capacity but overuse of bandwidth. Decision fatigue sets in sooner, so trivial choices feel weighty and important choices become exhausting. Relationships suffer because the mind arrives to conversations already filled to the rim. Tools are valuable when applied, burdensome when carried everywhere. A hammer resting in your palm is useful, a hammer dangling from your hand all day is strain. Thought serves planning, language, problem solving. Awareness is the quiet field in which these actions occur. When you live exclusively in thought, awareness receives no maintenance and gradually feels like absence rather than presence. People then seek stimulation to avoid that perceived void, which restarts the cycle of mental overactivity. Neuroscience labels the brain's idle chatter the default mode network. In plain terms, it is an autopilot that replays unfinished business and simulates possible threats. It once helped humans remember where danger lurked. Now it rehashes emails, social slights, and hypothetical disasters. The circuitry is efficient. The more you rehearse a worry, the more readily the worry resurfaces. Over decades these loops run with the persistence of background software, convincing you that thinking equals vigilance. Yet studies tracking actual outcomes show that the majority of rehearsed catastrophes never occur, while real challenges are handled best by focused, situational thought, not by hours of advanced rumination. Modern culture equates activity with worth. Working late, answering messages at dinner, rehearsing talking points while driving, these patterns earn quiet praise as responsible. Yet data gathered in large firms, military units, and hospital systems tells a different story. Individuals who take scheduled cognitive breaks complete tasks with fewer errors and make decisions that need less revision. Constant thought feels productive only because stress chemicals create a false sense of urgency. They sharpen focus for minutes, then blunt insight for hours. Studies tracking traders, air traffic controllers, and surgeons show that after roughly 90 minutes of unbroken analytic effort, mistake rates climb while confidence remains high. The mind tires but does not advertise its fatigue. It simply delivers poorer output with the same conviction. In everyday life this appears as drafting emails twice, rereading pages without absorption, revisiting worries that never convert into action. Efficiency is lost not to laziness but to surplus cognition that drowns the signal in its own noise. Short periods of non-thinking act like a system reboot. Within 60 seconds of mental quiet, heart rate variability improves, a clear marker of nervous system balance. Within 3 minutes, the brain's electrical rhythm shifts from high-frequency beta waves to calmer alpha, a state associated with learning consolidation and creative association. These changes do not require secluded retreats. They appear while watching clouds without labeling shapes, while pausing in a parked car before entering a store, while feeling the water on your hands as you rinse dishes. Older adults often notice that after such micro-rests they recall a name that sat on the tip of the tongue or spot a simple fix for a household problem. What changed was not intelligence but signal-to-noise ratio. Quiet provided bandwidth so stored knowledge could surface unimpeded. The brain will generate thoughts as lungs generate breath. The skill is in choosing which thoughts receive engagement. A practical cue is bodily tension. When the jaw sets or the shoulders creep upward, treat that as a dashboard warning. Instead of following the associated thought, shift attention to the sensation of the feet on the floor for 10 breaths. This brief redirection breaks the automatic chain long enough to ask, does this topic require thinking right now, or am I replaying it out of habit? If the situation truly needs analysis, booking travel, planning medical care, use the mind intentionally, then conclude with a single written next step. If the thought is speculative or repetitive, imagining arguments, reliving news headlines, label it not actionable and return attention to the present environment. Repetition forms a new loop in which awareness, not reflex, decides when the tool of thought is actually required. Extended meditation sessions help many people, but significant benefit also arises from embedding mental pauses into daily tasks. Walk a familiar route without the phone and identify 3 sounds at a distance and 3 near the body. This anchors hearing in real time instead of in remembered conversation. Prepare a meal with single task focus, knife rhythm, aroma change, sizzle volume. During routine meetings, practice listening to full sentences before planning a reply. The brain rests in receptive mode instead of drafting rebuttals. While waiting on hold, let the eyes rest on one object and notice texture and shade without narrating them. Each exercise lasts under 2 minutes yet trains the nervous system to accept gaps in internal dialogue. Over weeks these gaps widen on their own, and the background hum of unnecessary thought lowers a notch. People often report better sleep onset, reduced craving for constant media, and an unexpected side effect: time seems to slow, not because clocks change but because awareness is no longer siphoned off into untamed analysis. When the mind stops rehearsing every reply in advance, listening quality rises sharply. People feel heard, arguments shorten, and misunderstandings are corrected before they harden. Couples who adopt short pauses before responding show decreases in aggressive tone and a measurable drop in evening cortisol. In professional settings, managers who schedule 5 silent minutes before strategy meetings report clearer priorities and fewer follow-up emails. The mechanism is simple. By conserving cognitive bandwidth, you notice body language, vocal inflection, and gaps in your own knowledge. Decisions emerge from present data rather than from projections of past anxieties. Over time, colleagues trust your assessments because they notice you adjust in real time instead of clinging to a prepared script. Regular mental quiet shifts the stress baseline downward. Blood pressure studies on adults 50 and older show an average 5-point systolic drop after 8 weeks of daily micropauses. Memory improves because the hippocampus, freed from constant adrenaline, consolidates information more efficiently during sleep. Creativity also benefits. Researchers tracking engineers and writers found that solutions rated original and feasible doubled after participants adopted 3 5-minute stillness breaks per day. Ease follows resilience. Chores feel lighter when not accompanied by mental commentary, and leisure finally refreshes because it is experienced directly rather than reviewed through an internal critic. A life dominated by thought feels busy yet thin, like reading travel brochures instead of walking the streets. Once you allow regular intervals of mental rest, perception thickens, food has flavor again, conversations breathe, decisions land cleanly. Thought remains available, sharper for being rested, but no longer occupies every seat at the table. The gain is practical: lower blood pressure, steadier mood, clearer memory. It is also intangible, a quiet confidence that whatever arises can be met directly, without the exhausting detour through non-stop analysis. The mind becomes what it was built to be, a precise instrument picked up when needed and set down when the task is done, while awareness resumes its rightful place as the background, spacious and sufficient in its own right.